equal housing lender.
Welcome back. We've got some familiar faces with us. Day 3 of the George Zimmerman trial officially wrapped in Sanford. We've made it through, what, 24 potential jurors now?
Yeah, John Phillips, Richard Kurtz here with us to break it all down for us.
Yes.
And gentlemen, start by telling us, how do you think, when we're 3 days into jury selection, obviously it's a slow and tedious process, but I mean, is it slower than normal when you're talking high-profile cases, or is this pretty standard?
This is an unusually high-profile case, so there is no normal. It's setting its own precedent, and it's going to be slow because this is all about the media and what people know and what biases they have related to it.
Yeah, I would say it is going a little bit slower than I would have expected. While it is high publicity and high profile, there's a lot with that. It's going just a little bit slower than I thought it would, but I'm not shocked by it.
This was the first day that we've heard one of the jurors excused because he said, hey, I can't be impartial in this case. And that made me think about this. So we hear every juror, basically, potential juror, has said that they have some knowledge of the case. I mean, basically, you're going to hear about it if you're here in Florida. But my question is this. There are always those people who want to be on a jury of a high-profile case. So how do you know if they're really telling the truth?
Well, and that's something I deal with all the time. And you want to know that they're telling the truth, but you really don't know because people they may have some sort of angle that they're working. They may want to be on there for the publicity, the book rights, their friends, to be important, or they may be on a mission to either find them guilty or not guilty. So it's hard. Yeah, that's why you have to go through this process, and that's why it's going to take a lot longer.
It's just stuff screenplays are made of. I mean, they make movies about this type of thing. What do you, John? I mean, how do you take note? What is the attorney's job? How do you check and see if somebody's just a good actor? And
human lie detection. You know, you can't touch the juror's wrist like they did in the movie, but you know, you're trying to read into them and see what their tact is and why they're answering the way they are. Obviously, the one that said that they couldn't be fair somehow slipped through the questionnaire, which that was the whole purpose, was to wean out those. And this person must not have disclosed that in the paper.
And John, I know you personally know Trayvon Martin's family, and you're dealing with Jordan Davis's case. You talked to the family's attorney today, Mr. Crump?
I talked to Ben Crump and Michael Skolnick, who's a friend of the family who's works for Global Grind. And you know, they made a press release today just saying, we want justice to be fair. We know it's going to be a slow process. You know, kind of without divulging, too much of what he had to say, they're upset, and they're trying to deal with the slow process that justice is.
And Richard, do you think at this point in the game, could there be a change of venue?
No, I don't see that happen because the answer is no.
It's not happening.
Not happening.
Let's dive into our web poll results real quick. Because I mean, there's a couple of interesting things to talk about. Specifically, what we had touched on earlier. There's a question. It's the second question down on the left-hand side. Potential jurors are aiming to please or angling for a seat, and so far, folks voting right now have a 50-50 response on that. Maybe a little cynical. And then serving on a jury, this also 50-50 answers here on both of these responses. A security concern for someone or civic duty. Maybe a little bit of both, because jurors are facing potential security risks taking a seat here.
Interesting thing about security today, George Zimmerman's wife, they have a security officer, a bodyguard, if you will, sitting one seat away from her. Her cell phone went off today, and the bailiffs went over to her and said, hey, get rid of the cell phone. And
you've been through this process of questioning jurors. We had a juror who was a professional arm wrestler. Get told to take a hike. Would that have been your play? Or you see somebody that's an arm wrestler, do you tell them to get out? I mean,
I had to say that was the most unique challenge for cause that I have ever heard of. I don't know. They must have had some agreement. There must have been something going on. The defense and the state must have come to an agreement with that. Why they did it with a professional arm wrestler, I have no idea.
Just colorful stuff, and it's going to be throughout the whole thing. And we really appreciate you guys' time. I know it's going to seem tedious as we go through the next several weeks worth of the jury selection, and then as we get into trial. So we really appreciate it, and the candor, and hopefully we can actually get some battling going on soon. And professional arm wrestling, we've got the table.
We do have the
table. We got it.
Right
here.
So
we're ready to go. All right, Chief Meteorologist Tim Deegan with us now. Let's check the forecast. Hey, Tim.
Very interesting stuff. That is for sure.